wine kept flowing. Laughter echoed through the royal hall. The most powerful men in the land had gathered as honored guests of the Median king. They believed they had come to celebrate. But from the moment King Cyaxares raised his first cup, only one thought occupied his mind: a revenge that had waited 28 years. But why? What could have happened to drive a king to plan a night like this? To answer that question, we have to go back several centuries. Our primary sources for the history of the Medes come from the History of Media by Diakonoff and the Median Kingdom by Aliev. The Median civilization was a branch of the greater Aryan peoples groups who nearly 3000 BCE began a series of massive migrations in search of more fertile lands.
Aryan peoples groups.
They divided into 4 major branches. The first moved westward, eventually settling in what we now call Europe. The second branch traveled southeast toward the Indian subcontinent, where traces of Aryan culture can still be found today. The third settled along the southern shores of the Caspian Sea and around modern-day Gorgon, gradually pushing into northeastern Iran. These were the Scythians, fierce, nomadic, and warlike Aryans known for their brutality. And the fourth group? They moved west across the Iranian plateau, eventually settling in the region of today's western Iran. These were the Medes. The very word Iran comes from the name Aryan, meaning land of the noble people. It was these tribes who laid the foundations of what would eventually become the Iranian world. While the story of the Achaemenids begins around 700 BCE, the Aryan migrations reach back more than 2 millennia earlier. The Scythians did not remain by the Caspian Sea. They pushed westward into modern Kurdistan and founded a city known today as Cyaxares. For this section, the primary reference is the Scythians by Talbot Rice. But now we must move past shared Aryan origins and focus on 2 peoples whose collision would change history forever: the Scythians and the Medes. And that collision would only become possible through unity. The Medes were not a single people. They were a loose collection of Aryan tribes, each ruled by its own chief, bound by geography, but not by loyalty. There was no unity until a man named Deioces stepped forward. Deioces was respected, trusted, and farsighted. He gathered the leaders of 6 major Median tribes in Hegmatane, modern Hamadan, known to the Greeks as Ecbatana, and spoke words that carried the weight of destiny.
We need one man to rule over us. We must unite or we will perish. You know this is true. Appoint a king now. We cannot live in this lawlessness. We need a king to judge us.
The chiefs agreed. And not only did they accept unity, they chose Deioces himself as king. Thus, he became the first ruler of Media. His first act was to construct a massive fortified capital at Hegmatana. Herodotus tells us its size rivaled Athens itself, and its beauty was legendary. Deioces organized the Median army, established government institutions, and imposed political order. At last, the Medes had a voice. But just as they rose, a dark shadow loomed over the Near East: Assyria. Deioces ruled at the height of Assyrian power. When war came, the Medes were crushed. Deioces was captured and exiled to Syria. His son, Phraortes, inherited the throne and attempted what his father could not: an alliance with the Scythians against Assyria.
Let our peoples stand together against our common foe.
But at the critical moment, the Scythians betrayed him.
At midnight, we strike them. Let no one survive.
Advance! Charge! Stand firm and hold the line!
Phraortes was killed in battle, and even without betrayal, the alliance would likely have failed. Assyria was simply too powerful. After his death, the Scythians invaded Media and ruled it for 28 years. The Medes, under the rule of fellow Aryans, became subjects in their own land, until one man emerged from the darkness. That man was Cyaxares, son of Phraortes. He rose under Scythian domination, waited patiently, and then planned a night that may have inspired the infamous betrayal scene in Game of Thrones. Revenge that had waited 28 years. Cyaxares invited all the Scythian leaders to a grand banquet. They were welcomed
Welcome,
with
my
honor.
brothers,
Wine
to the kingdom
flowed
of
freely.
Media.
Music, dancers, celebration, everything a warrior aristocracy desired. Drunk, unsuspecting, and defenseless. At the height of the feast, Cyaxares gave the signal. In a swift, coordinated strike, every Scythian leader was slaughtered. Their armies fled. And just like that, after 28 years, Media was free again. Cyaxares became king. He allied with Babylon, and together they destroyed a weakened Assyria. This was the golden age of Media. Its borders expanded, power was shared with Babylon, and Cyaxares built a disciplined, professional army. Then came war with Lydia, modern-day Western Turkey, a brutal conflict that lasted 5 years. Until, in the middle of battle, the sun itself went dark. A solar eclipse. Both armies saw it as divine wrath. The fighting stopped. Peace was declared. But fate was not finished after Cyaxares died. His son Astyages, also known as Ajidahaka or Ishtavegu, took the throne. To prevent another war with Lydia, he married the Lydian king's daughter. His sister Amytis married Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. And at this very moment, the fate of Media became bound to another man, one not yet born. To tell the next chapter, we must travel to Anshan. Originally Elamite land, Anshan became home to Aryan tribes, including the Pasargadae, the ancestors of Cyrus. The Pasargadae declared their tribal chief king of Anshan. Around 700 BCE, a man named Achaemenes became the first to hold that title. After Achaemenes, Cyrus the Elder, the grandfather of Cyrus the Great, became king of the Achaemenids. After him came Cambyses. At that time, Astyages ruled Media. To preserve peace, Astyages married his daughter Mandane to Cambyses. Their child would change the world, Cyrus. But first, a dream. According to Herodotus, Astyages dreamed that a river flowed from Mandane's womb and flooded all of Asia. Interpreters warned him, "Her son will overthrow you." A second dream followed, worse than the first. A vine grew from her body and covered the entire world. When Cyrus was born, Astyages ordered him killed. The task fell to Harpagus. He could not do it. Instead, he gave the infant to a shepherd. That same night, the shepherd's wife delivered a stillborn child. The babies were switched. Cyrus lived. 8 years later, the crack of a whip during a children's game would tear the truth into the open. The children were playing king one ruler, one minister, others as officials. That day they chose Cyrus as king. One boy, the son of a Median noble, disobeyed him. Cyrus punished him, just as a king would. The boy ran home crying. His father stormed to court, furious that a shepherd's son dared strike his child. He demanded justice. Astyages ordered the boy brought before him. Cyrus stood fearless and said, "They chose me as king. Obedience was required. He disobeyed. Now you are my king, and I obey you." Herodotus writes that in that moment, through logic, authority, and an uncanny resemblance to Mandane, Astyages understood the truth. This was no shepherd's son. This was his grandson. A secret buried for years had surfaced through a child's game. And with it came a question that would decide the fate of Media and of Cyrus himself.